We've got a new guest today.
Yeah.
Jennifer, do you want to do the honor and introduce our guest today?
So Baby is one of my best friend's friend, actually. And that's how I met her. And she's one of the very few, I would say, Chinese qualified therapists in the UK at the moment. So yeah, I'm very interested in the psychotherapist and the mental well-being as a topic. And also Jet is interested in meditation. So we thought, why not to bring in a qualified person?
Someone who actually knows what they're talking about.
Exactly. Not me who is like interested, but haven't been professionally trained, not at least not enough.
So yeah, I'm Bei Bei, and I am a qualified integrative transpersonal counselor based in London. And yeah, I've had a chat with both of you previously, and it's an honor to be here having this chat with you guys.
This is very, very 相敬如宾. But very polite moment. I think it's obviously a little bit strange. I think it's first time for you to, as a actually, I want to hear from us as a psychologist yourself, a psychotherapist yourself, coming from this kind of sort of, now you're being almost drop into a podcast scenario. I think a lot of people experience a similar kind of nerve-wracking moments where it's something that's new, they've never really stepped into it before. For example, in this case, yourself, as someone who's stepping out of their normal comfort zone.
Yeah, I think that's something that's kind of like a work in progress. Like, I think we probably all have this anxious moment. I think for me, it's more about, I guess it's easier to actually acknowledge that this is a new environment, I'm anxious. And I think once you acknowledge it, slowly that will actually sort of go away. I think the more I'm trying to hold everything together and the more actually, my heart rate goes up and things like that. Yeah. And I guess with clients as well, I think like for me, I think that the anxious but also exciting thing is that I never know who will sort of get through the door, who will get in touch. So every time when I meet someone, there's always a bit of sort of kind of anticipation, expectation and excitement, anxiety. But I think that's what makes it quite interesting. And I feel the same with the other person as well. But I think it's quite natural. But I think over maybe a period of like one session or two, we get used to, one another. And and then we start to really sort of get used to how this person, behave, sort of conduct themselves, hold themselves, and then that sort of relationship starts to develop slowly. I think it's all quite, I think anxiety is a natural part of the process in a way.
Very interesting, because I would always think that, because the common misconception, I guess, in this case is when you think of a psychologist, you think that they, on the other end, is like the grandmaster of psychology. They are unchallenged and feel very comfortable or confident where they are. But like, what you just said sort of challenged my view that you actually experience anxiety, albeit a different kind of anxiety as well.
Yeah. And I guess that sort of reminds me of being human as well. Like it's probably easier actually for me to relate to the client because I will never be completely sorted. I will never, maybe one day I'll become Yalom, but 60 years down the line, but, I'm still learning. And so I take each encounter as a new experience, and I think that's important. And actually I was reading recently as well, there's this guy called David Berceli. He developed this trauma release exercise, and the theory behind that is that we human beings were previously, we're mammals, ultimately. And if you observe the natural world, like when, for example, a deer was chased by a tiger or a lion, it was like life-threatening. And then once they became safe, they will start tremoring in their body to release the trauma, the sort of pressure in their body. And then once they tremors, after like 20 minutes, they will be fine. Like they will just get on, with life like normal. But I think for humans, we're so used to actually repress these sort of feelings. So like it's so normal to go up a stage and do a presentation and people might be shaking, but most of us will be like, stop shaking, tense, conduct yourself, be, I don't know, like be calm. But so actually we hold a lot of trauma in our body that way, I think. So I was trying those exercises recently.
Oh yeah, so I guess like when you say trembling, I think it's such an interesting point. Because I record my first time go on stage of stand-up comedy, for example, we're talking about, my hand was trembling. And for almost all my on-stage performance, give it singing or stand-up comedy, all sorts of things, if it's involving a big audience, I always trembles. And it was quite strange to me because I'm not that like shy. I actually like big audience, but I cannot stop trembling. So maybe that's why.
It's almost like a natural part of our body's process.
Oh, I see. So what kind of exercise you were mentioning that you do to actually release trauma that you can share with us?
Yeah, so this is the technique exercise that's developed by David Berceli from the US. It's basically something that you can actually practice at home. It's a bit hard to describe now, but I think you sort of lie on the floor.
Okay.
And then you do a few different exercises to loosen up your sort of pelvis inner thigh area.
Okay.
So then you just lie down there, and then with your sort of legs slightly
a curve shape.
Shape.
So knees are lifted up, and you basically have that hip area pressed against the floor.
Okay. And
And
then strange thing happens, and your body sort of start tremoring automatically, and that might last for, I don't know, 10 minutes, half an hour, and each person might be different. There might be a different tremoring pattern.
Interesting.
So I was fascinated. So I tried it a couple of times, and I think that week I was just feeling really light, and I was feeling a lot happier and relaxed. So I was thinking that's something I want to maybe keep practicing and trying out. Yeah.
Wow, that sounds really interesting. I think a lot of times
it's quite similar. It's quite similar to actually Vipassana practice, which of course is at the end of the day is paying attention to your body, and really trying to sort of take away the distractions that are out there and really just focusing inwardly what's happening with the internal body. And maybe, like, I guess when you felt really light, this could be where you store the negative energy, which it's all stored up, not being released, and when you pay attention to it, it comes out.